Let's get it on!
Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Off the Ropes with John and Josh. This is episode 11 and part 5 of the Attitude Era. It's going to be a great time.
I agree.
I am Josh.
And I am Johnny Langston.
Don't you mean Biggie Langston?
No, I don't mean Biggie Langston. I mean Johnny. That son of a bitch stole my CJ. Tell me if this sounds familiar. I'm CJ Pressman with the news that is the news among the news in the backstage. I came up with that gimmick, you piece of crap. Take your freaking pecs to go all the way around to your back and go back to NXT where you belong, bitch.
And on today's episode,
we're going to talk more about the Attitude Era.
we're going to start off by talking about the People's Champ.
Dolph Ziggler?
Oh man.
Chris Jericho.
Come on.
Okay, give me a hint, give me a hint.
Okay, starts with an R.
Rhino.
No.
Then who?
The Rock.
That son of a bitch! Mr. Gone for 10 years comes back and beats CM Punk in one night? Oh my god! I mean, what's next? Freaking Chris Jericho in his light bright jacket? Oh! He's killing me. You notice he's wearing the same shirt again?
Hey. I said I'm going to do something, I'm going to stick with it.
Yeah, just like I stuck you. Oh.
Just like I stuck your mom.
Apologize to her. She's probably watching this right now.
If you're watching, what up? How you doing? Hi, Amber! I wonder if she watches the show. Does she?
She hasn't caught up yet, so when she catches up and sees. Okay, so did you know that The Rock debuted in 1996?
Under the name
Rocky Maivia.
Yes.
No wonder why he changed it to The Rock, because that name sucks!
It was,
like his wrestling career.
That's harsh, man. He took that name as a combination of his father, Rocky Johnson, and his grandfather, High Chief Peter Maivia. It was a tribute. And you're saying that sucks.
With his freaking flat top, like he was like Kids in Play or something?
Maybe he was Kid. Maybe he was like Kid Play.
I'm staring you down, Dwayne.
Was,
I know where you live and I know where you're filming right now, and I swear to God I'm gonna steal a WWE Championship from you, beat you in the face with it, and give it back to a rightful champion. His name is Dolph freaking Ziggler.
Maybe it was Kid Play and steal CM Punk's title. Get out of here.
I'm done with this
He's
show.
done. So shortly after his debut in WWE, he formed the Nation of Domination and began referring to himself as The Rock. Oh no, now you're back.
Give it back to a rightful champion like Edge! The Mister You Think You Know Me! You leave the company for 10 years and come back to be a piece of shit! Old man got a shot in the eye for you!
I like how you'd rather bitch about him than CM Punk all of a sudden.
CM who?
Exactly. You were all angry about CM Punk before.
I'm still angry about CM Punk, but I'd rather see him with the gold than a 10-year left the company, dude. I mean, that's like putting the world title on Brock Lesnar.
Maybe they'll do that.
I would have to quit watching wrestling and go to TNA.
Meh.
I would rather.
Oh, so apparently now, according to him, WWE is wrestling. That's just all what it is. If it's not WWE, it's not wrestling. It's wrestling or it's TNA. Out there. Now, The Rock had some notable feuds throughout his career.
Oh yeah, he had some great feuds.
He had Stone Cold.
Ken Shamrock.
He had a feud with D-Generation X while he was in the Nation of Domination.
That's true. He had a feud with Mark Henry for a little while.
He even feuded with Mr. McMahon, which
really?
is kind of interesting.
That's pretty odd. I remember a good feud with Mankind for a little while.
Absolutely. He feuded with Triple H.
Rikishi.
Chris Jericho, who we'll talk about in a little bit.
In the NWO, when he tag teamed with Hulk Hogan and Kane.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Now, due to his increasing popularity, The Rock was turned face and began referring to himself as the People's Champion. He was there for the people. He won this title for the people. And he was for the people.
Yeah, well now the Shield are for the people. And justice!
They're not for all. People. They don't care about the people. They only care about justice.
Well, maybe they should take out The Rock.
And you know what? Maybe. Maybe. Now, eventually, The Rock would turn heel again and join up with Vince McMahon, forming
the corporation.
Yes, I mean, this was an interesting time. I was never really, though, a fan of The Rock as a heel. He always did good as it, but I hated the character.
Rock as a heel doesn't really always impress me. I like him better as a face. You get better promos out of him.
You get way better promos.
Well, in December of 1998, The Rock actually had a pay-per-view named after himself. It was one of the In Your House pay-per-views, and it was Rock Bottom In Your House.
Absolutely.
Now, I didn't really look up any of the matches for it or anything, but from what I understand, it was a good pay-per-view.
Yeah, it probably sucked. Rock was on it.
Well, later part of 1999, The Rock would go on to form a little bit of a tag team. Yep, thought I was in the right spot. Just want to make sure. Many of you know this. It was the Rock and Sock connection.
Yes.
It was him and Mankind.
You know, his former enemy turned ally, and they went on to do some funny stuff. Rock and Sock, you can't go wrong.
Well, I'll let you talk about the next one since you knew more about that.
Oh, in 2000, The Rock would go on to win the Royal Rumble. Now, even though he technically won the Royal Rumble, if you watch the footage, there are pictures out there, you can actually see that. Please stop poking your donut.
You can wait to find your finger if you poke the hole.
This kid's, look what I gotta work with. He's a child. But anyways, The Rock would actually touch his feet to the ground before the Big Show.
But yet The Rock would still go on to win the match.
He would go on to win because the ref didn't notice. That's the epitome of blind refs right there.
So it was either Earl Hebner or Nick Patrick?
Now, due to this, the Big Show was given a #1 contenders match, which he won with the help of Shane McMahon and a steel chair to The Rock's head. Yeah.
Well, shortly after WrestleMania 17, The Rock would go on to film The Mummy Returns, the first time he would leave the company. Now, he would come back, he'd have some notable feuds. He had a really good program that he worked with the Hurricane, as many of you remember. Hakuna Machente Ha! Do you have any idea what that means? No, it just probably means that your film career was more important than the WWE, and therefore you turned your back on all your fans. Ouch. Screw you, Dwayne.
Ouch. That's harsh. That's harsh, man.
That's harsh.
That's harsh.
Harsh.
Now, he returned in July of 2001, signing with the WWF during the Invasion storyline.
We still didn't need you.
He would then go to close out 2001, losing his title to Chris Jericho.
Making Chris Jericho the first ever undisputed champion.
That's true. And he would go on to feud with the NWO to finish out the Attitude Era.
You know, there was just, yeah. We'll go with that.
Now, speaking of Chris Jericho and his ever popular status in the WWE, what do you got about him?
Well, Chris Jericho would debut in the WWF in 1999 during a Rock promo. Now, for weeks, there would be a countdown clock on the Titantron, and it was ticking down to the inevitable. The inevitable being the debut of Chris Jericho. When he came out, he mouthed off The Rock, and instantly The Rock tore him down, put him in his place, called him a crybaby bitch. I didn't actually call him that, but I like that word. It's so funny. They'd go back and forth. Now, during his wrestling debut, his actual first match, he'd fight the Road Dogg, and he'd lose. Most people don't really lose in their debuts.
That's true.
So that was impressive. And then we'd go on to see him at Survivor Series of '99, where he'd fight Benoit and Angle in a triple threat match for both the European and the Intercontinental Championships. They were both on the line, both being held by Kurt Angle, which is really funny because is that in here? That's
on here? Yes, at that time he referred to himself as the Euro-Continental Champion. Something that he decided to come up with, and
it was pretty creative.
Yeah.
So the way the match went down was that it was going to be contested as 2 falls. The person who would win the first fall would get the Intercontinental Champion, and the person who would win the second half of the match would get the European Championship. Now, Benoit would take the IC title, and Chris Jericho would walk away with the European title. But that did not make Chris Jericho the European Champion for long, as the next night on Monday Night Raw, he would lose the title to none other than Latino Heat himself, Eddie Guerrero.
Because he lies?
He cheats.
Yeah, he definitely steals.
You know, I took my wallet once.
That son of a bitch.
I know. I mean, you shouldn't talk ill about the dead, though.
That's true.
Jericho, however, would return to the Intercontinental title picture and try to reclaim his IC glory days. And he'd go on and have a feud with Benoit in 2001, and I swear to God, he's doing bunny ears, isn't he? He was doing bunny ears. You know what? When I punch my fucking nuts, so he's not going to be laughing so hard. he would feud with Benoit in a ladder match. And
Lost your
Benoit
train
would,
of thought.
I lose a lot of things when I'm around you.
Oh,
Lost my virginity with this guy. I lost my house with this guy. I lost my car and my wife.
You never had a car. Oh, he would later become the first. Oh, where were we? And just a short time later, he would receive his main event push.
And then he'd go on to beat The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin in the night to become the first ever disputed champion. Undisputed champion.
He's the disputed champion?
He's the disputed champion. Now, let's talk about something a little bit more fun. Something.
Wait, we have The Rock, we had Chris Jericho, and when you think The Rock and Chris Jericho,
I think Stouffer's
meat lasagna? I mean, this week on Josh's Cooking Corner, we're gonna revisit
Don't make me remove your nose.
meat lasagna.
When I think of Austin, or when I... I'm done! I quit! I am so flustered today!
When he thinks of The Rock and Chris Jericho, what does he think of?
Stephanie McMahon's boobs and flotation devices.
Absolutely.
Now, we're going to talk about something fun. Something that's called comic relief, which is wasted on some of you worthless peons like The Rock.
Hey man, he's pretty funny.
Oh yeah, hold on. He's really funny. 204 days?
I thought that was pretty funny.
Did he forget his line? Okay. So when you think comic humor, what do you think? I think Josh's face.
I think his talent in the ring. Yeah, I went there. I went there.
Harsh.
I went there.
That was a little
Don't
harsh.
make fun of this. This is my moneymaker.
Think of the size of his wallet.
You bought me that wallet.
I did buy you that wallet. So I think of things like Austin McMahon, who saw a crap load of awesome, funny little things. You got to see things like Dr. Austin.
Which, we're going to show you a clip, and we're going to get around it. So, enjoy. Yeah.
And I swear to God, if this video gets pulled again, I swear, I'm just going to find Shane McMahon, punch him in the face.
Okay.
I don't know why he's Shane over Vince, but...
Why not? We also had Austin driving a Zamboni down to the ring.
And a beer truck.
The beer truck was pretty interesting, I have to say. I enjoyed that.
Now, DX is primarily one of the big focuses of the Attitude Era. So therefore, they got away with a lot of funny things that no other people did, because they really pushed the envelope.
And one of the ones that always came to my mind that I thought was just kind of out there and really funny was when they decided to moon the audience.
For Christmas?
No, there was what? Was it for Christmas? Did all three of them do that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the Merry DXmas.
Okay.
They have a lot of funny things though. Like there was that. Sean did the Canadian flag up his nose. He super kicked a midget Bret Hart. I mean, DX, it was the epitome of funny. Then when the New Age Outlaws joined in, they had Terry Funk and they had Mick Foley in the dumpster, and they pushed the dumpster over the stage. They were laughing about it until they were getting pulled out and stuff. Mm-hmm. You had things like Mark Henry. Mm-hmm. Now, Mark Henry and Mae Young had an affair, or a relationship.
Which we talked about last time.
She gave birth to a hand. That's comic humor.
Which didn't really go over as well as they hoped.
Yeah. You had the many faces of Foley. You had Dude Love, who was the really cool jive cat, baby. And then you had...
Mankind.
You had Mankind, who was really twisted and screwed up.
And Cactus Jack.
Bang, bang! And then you had Triple H, who just wouldn't fight any of them.
Yeah.
Then you had Edge and Christian, who were synonymous with funny segments. The 15-second pose. You had them doing the Hick Band with Kurt Angle. They did the backstage promos with Triple H and Kurt Angle, the kazoos on the birthdays. They were just...
We have footage of some kazoos and streamers stuff. Enjoy this. This is really funny. I love that.
That still makes me laugh every
time
I watch that. Dude, kazoos rule.
Something that you kind of skipped over a little bit was Mankind and Sacco. We talked about Mankind.
We did.
But we did not mention Sacco, which was something that definitely brought the humor in.
That's true.
That side.
A lot of people don't know the Sokka was born during the Dr. Austin skit. When he gets down next to the bed and pops up Sokka. That was Sokka's debut in the WWF. Now, Edge and Christian have done a lot of crazy things. I think one of Josh's favorite moments, though, that he didn't even know was a funny thing at the time about what it was Los Conquistadors. Absolutely. Josh did not know that Los Conquistadors was a real tag team.
I did not. And, but I did love what they did with it.
It was
really
funny. All they couldn't speak a lick of Spanish. All they could really say was dos. So it was kind of the reverse Funaki. Funaki couldn't speak a lick of English, but then they would overdo him with, indeed. And he'd be like, indeed. Kind of like Godzilla's attacking.
It is. Is that racist?
No,
I think that's racist.
Is that?
You're a racist.
Oh, I'm back to being racist Jay, and on Jay's racist corner.
Ooh, that's a new show. I like it.
Well, and then we go back to The Rock and Jericho, which saw some phenomenal back and forth. I mean, down in the ring, you've got Stephanie, you've got Rhino, and you've got
Booker T.
Booker T. I mean, you've got the gore and the whore.
You got the punk-ass sucker
And the silver spoon, motherfucker.
That's right.
I mean, we're going to go all around the globe, and if we get lost, we can use Stephanie McMahon's breast as a flotation device.
Absolutely.
And then when they got what they wanted, they got a match against Booker T and Rhino, Stephanie was the breast. I mean the best.
And we would also go on to see Rock and Jericho do a really funny backstage promo where The Rock tells Jericho that he smells like moose piss.
How does The Rock know what moose piss smells like that?
That's a good question. How does he know what Rock, tell us. Send us an email, a tweet, I don't care. Do it on Facebook. How do you know? What does moose piss actually smell like?
Well, there was another funny moment that involved Chris Jericho, and it also involved a person who doesn't really ever get talked about much on our show or in WWE much at all, Sir William Regal. Now, during 2001, Regal had a run as the general manager / commissioner type deal. He walks out of his office, and Jericho blatantly pissed in his tea. Mm-hmm. And then Regal comes back and starts sipping his tea. His Earl Grey at that. How are you going to ruin Earl Grey? Oh, no.
By pissing in it?
But then, let's to the next one here.
We have...
During the end of the NWO, The Rock would find himself in a very unusual alliance with Hulk Hogan, and, well, Josh is one of his favorite wrestlers ever,
Kane. Now, this would be a promo that would happen shortly after WrestleMania in 2002.
Yep.
Right at the end of the Attitude Era.
Yep.
It's something that, right at that. Some people don't consider it part of the Attitude Era, but technically, the Attitude Era ended in May of 2002.
I was going to say, it's like that end stitch work. But the promo is hilarious because you got The Rock and Hogan talking back and forth. And they're talking about their match tonight with Hogan, or it was Hall Nash and I believe X-Pac, or Booker maybe. And as they're going back and forth in this promo, Kane walks in. And they kind of look at him, he's like, "What is he going to do, brothers? What's he going to do when the Canaanites run wild on you?" And walked out, and Rock's like, Hogan's just like, "I've seen it all." And then
it was pretty funny.
Well, have fun with that one.
And then we had the Rock and Sock connection, like we talked about. And Mick Foley would go on to do a little segment that he called "This Is Your Life," which he has done, a few times.
Times now.
In the,
and it's been really
recent
funny
days too.
Now, it was a good segment. Look it up online. You'll enjoy it.
Have some funny people from the Rock's past come out.
That's
true.
true.
It's a good time.
But this has led to over the last decade of WWE utilizing funny segments in everyday situations on TV, just to make things a little bit more funny sometimes and take away from how stupid a storyline can be.
Sometimes they be good.
Yeah, like Kane and Debray. It was funny and it was well done.
Yeah, I love
it was
their
gimmicky a couple times. How did you know I wasn't going to catch him?
How did you know I wasn't going to catch him?
You know, Kane, I think I'm finally starting to understand you. Man, that's funny.
And sometimes it wouldn't be as good. Such as Santina Marella. That's right. Santino's twin sister, which was really just Santino in drag. I really didn't...
You mean he's not dragging every day?
Yeah. I really didn't care for that storyline. They wanted to be funny. I didn't think it was very funny. And also, R-Truth's Little Jimmy. I know a lot of people dig this. It was kind of funny at first, but it's gotten kind of old for me. I'm not really a big fan.
The only moment I found Little Jimmy funny is the night that Kane and D-Bry were trying to figure out who was going to be the sixth man in their tag team match, and they thought picking Little Jimmy would be funny.
Yeah.
Because then they wouldn't need a real tag team partner. But while we're on the talks of comedy relief and wrestling, let's talk about the influx of celebrities and how sometimes they can be funny and how sometimes it's just there to help. Like, the very first person who comes to mind is who?
Pete Rose.
Really?
I've seen him several times, and because Kane is one of my favorites.
That's true.
Pete Rose.
Well, how about you talk about Pete Rose then for a second?
Well, Pete Rose, what do you have down here? Pete Rose was a guest announcer for the Kane Taker match during WrestleMania 14, where he got tombstoned by Kane.
Yep.
This started things off.
This was the...
They started the bad blood between the two of them, and that would go on
to WrestleMania 15.
For a decade, you
Yeah.
know? It would continue for a decade.
WrestleMania 15 would see Pete Rose come back and try to get revenge on Kane.
And how did he do
He
this?
dressed up as a San Diego chicken and still got tombstoned.
I give him props, though. He tried. He tried, man.
But that wasn't it. He would come back again when?
See, he would come back again at WrestleMania 2000.
During Kane's match where he tag teamed with Rikishi.
Just to get beat up yet again.
By both members, though, this time.
I mean, come on, guy. This is Kane you're talking about. And you're just going to keep trying to get at him?
I mean,
he's going to beat you up. It's not going to stop.
He's the man who beat Chavo Guerrero in 8 seconds at Mania.
Who?
You know, that guy with the small penis?
Oh, gotcha.
Now,
you should get that check.
This wasn't the end of Pete Rose, though. Pete Rose would come back at the Hall of Fame in 2004 and be inducted into the Hall of Fame by none other than Kane.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting kind of
as if that wasn't enough, he'd come back yet again on March 22nd, 2010, and be the guest host of Monday Night Raw. Now, this is one of my favorite Pete Rose moments because he would make a match between Shawn Michaels and Kane that night on Raw, which Shawn Michaels would win, and then he would gloat about the win to Christian as he was going back to his office. And I remember watching the promo recently, and he was like, I showed Kane tonight, didn't I? And Christian's like, yeah, man, you really showed him. And then his door rips open on the office, and it's Kane, and Kane just grabs him into the office, the door slams, and you can only be left to imagine of Pete Rose being tombstoned and beat up and put through his desk and tortured.
That's true. Poor Pete Rose.
Oh.
And he would yet again be mentioned on August 27th, 2012, during Kane's anger management, when he had to make his anger collage.
Yep. And he talked about how he has an unknown obsession with beating up Pete Rose. Now, some other celebrities who have made the list of appearances at WWE events. Mike Tyson, who was at WrestleMania 14 for the Austin Shawn Michaels match. Now, everybody knows how that went down, and if you didn't, the quick side to this is that he sided with DX, and then right in the final moments of the match, he'd rip off his DX shirt, punch Shawn Michaels in the face. Michaels would take the stunner, get pinned. Austin would become the new WWF champion and sign with Tyson. Now, what a lot of people don't know is this is the reason why Shawn Michaels got kicked out of D-Generation X, to help with his back injury, take him off of screen for a little bit, and to allow DX to kind of have their problems. It was a great time.
Yeah.
Other people who have appeared though, Boyz II Men, who was at WrestleMania 15 and did America the Beautiful.
We even saw Drowning Pool. You know,
One of our favorite bands.
Performed live and later got a chance to record and use the SmackDown theme.
Yeah, they did Rise Up, which was a really good theme and got used in remixed ones.
Yeah.
Ice-T, he remixed the Godfather's theme for the WWF Aggression CD back in 2000.
Very nice. We had Motorhead, which most of you should know if you're fans of Triple H.
He did most of Triple H's themes past his, yo, Jimmy, hit me with that Triple H.
Yeah,
It's my time!
He did the game
It's
theme.
my time!
He did the King
It's
of
my
Kings.
time!
The King of Kings theme.
It's my time!
The Evolution theme.
It's my time!
You say that one more time, I'm going to hit you with these cards. Okay. And what else? They even performed live twice. Once at WrestleMania 17 and once at WrestleMania 21.
It's my time! He did. He fucking threw the cards at me. Dick.
We also had...
Some wonderful... No, she wasn't even pretty. Jennifer Flowers.
She's a model.
That explains it.
Jennifer
She was the
Fox.
ring announcer for The Rock in Shamrock IC title match at WrestleMania 14. That's pretty much all you really need to know about her. Now, while WWF was using celebrities, I just want to take this moment to actually tell you that not only did WWF do it, WCW did it and made ripples too.
I think that they did it better, personally.
And in my opinion, so did I. But a lot of people focus on Tyson because Tyson actually got involved. But they neglect to look at the fact that WCW had the likes of Dennis Rodman, who worked with the NWO, who later on wrestled on Hogan's celebrity wrestling thing.
Didn't he work with DDP or something like that?
Yep, he had a couple programs with DDP, which actually brings in Karl Malone, man with the giant arms. He worked with DDP and tag team with DDP to take on Dennis Rodman and Hulk Hogan. You had people like Kiss, who came on and performed a couple times. Same night that Kiss was on there, the West Texas Rednecks would steal their equipment and actually play Rad as Crap for the crowd.
Very nice.
But Kiss introduced the Demon, the Kiss wrestler, who was Dale Torborg, who later on became a White Sox. You thought that was an interesting tidbit.
Absolutely.
And even had the likes of David Arquette. Now, not
Which
only,
a lot of wrestling fans tend to want to forget.
I would like to forget it myself, but one thing that WCW had faith in was not only plugging their movie, but putting the world title on David Arquette and allowing him to run with it. That was something WWF has never done, and to this day won't do, because they don't have the balls to take a chance like WCW did, which is what put WCW on top of their game for years.
Now, this kind of thing opened up a lot of doors for WWE into the future to bring in a lot of celebrities. I mean, they over the years they brought in hundreds of celebrities. I mean, for a long period of time, they did those weekly Raw guest hosts, which were all celebrities.
I was going to say, we've seen the likes of everybody from like Bob Barker to the Muppets to Snooki was at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Snooki had a WrestleMania match.
Yeah, Drew Carey in the Hall of Fame.
That's true.
You know, I mean, there's been a lot. You had Pee Wee Herman.
You know, stuff like this is what really causes me to drink. I mean, I just can't handle the fact that people like Drew Carey are in the Hall of Fame. I could go for...
Macho Man is not.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that kind of stuff right there makes me want a freaking beer and a cigar, maybe play some cards. I mean, God, that sounds familiar.
That sounds very familiar. I mean, that sounds like a couple of guys that I could hang out with. Man.
I know, that sounds like a couple guys who you could just call for, like, if you need, like, protection, like a protection agency.
Yeah, man.
Now, if only there was, like, some kind of, like, protection agency that had, like...
You know who I bet would have been made a great protection agency?
Who?
The Acolytes.
The Acolytes Protection Agency.
Yeah, I think that could have worked. I mean...
You know, something tells me, though, had they tried running something like the APA, it would have just been buried. Speaking of the APA, this tag team would form when both Ron Simmons and JBL's singles careers would come to an end, and they had nothing else to do with them in creative, and they just went, put them together. And originally, their singles careers were just kind of like, but they became known as the Hell's Henchmen. They did this, they did that, and they'd wrestle on Heat a lot. Now, it wasn't until November 30th, 1998 that they got their debut on Raw, and they interfered in a match that Val Venus was in. They came out, they did their thing, they beat some people up, they walked away.
And they wouldn't become the Acolytes until they began working for the Ministry. And they had a really good feud with X-Pac and Kane, which I always thought was an interesting thing.
I thought that was an interesting tag team, too.
Kane and D-Bry kind of reminded me of that.
Kind of, yeah, yeah.
He's got that little speed, little guy and the big guy. I don't know, it was always an interesting
Now,
thing.
the Acolytes would go on to face the Hardys at the King of the Ring, and this would be like a good 4-month program until the Hardys would finally take the titles from the APA, or the Acolytes. I'm sorry, they weren't the APA yet. Now, after a feud with the Dudleys, the Acolytes began
They began
a little bit of a gimmick where they would be backstage and they'd be drinking and smoking cigars and playing cards and chilling out.
And thus,
the APA was born. Now, it wasn't really... The APA wasn't really big until Crash Holly called upon them for protection so that he wouldn't lose his hardcore title. And that's when they began leasing themselves out and, you know... But they were a good, solid tag team, and the APA would come to an end in 2002. But that wasn't the last time that we would see of them. We would also see them again on December 3rd, 2007, when Hornswoggle would be booked in a handicap match against Jonathan Coachman and Carlito. They would come out and help. And again, recently at Raw 1000, when Lita was fighting Heath Slater, and I got to say,
which was just awesome to see. Even though Lita could have easily handled Heath Slater on her own, it was awesome to see them.
My 20-year-old sister could beat up Heath Slater. I'm just putting that out there.
I mean, he is the Wendy's girl after all. Just saying.
Wow.
I don't care how good you are at air guitar, you still look like the Wendy's girl.
You know, when I think of Heath Slater, one thing comes to mind: just chanting, "You suck, you suck, you suck."
Well, I mean,
you suck.
That was kind of somebody else, man.
You know, I'm kind of getting a familiarity with that.
Okay, let me play his thing for you.
Okay, okay.
2, 3, 4.
Go. Angle. Angle.
That is right. Kurt Angle.
Who would debut in 1998.
That's true, that's true.
But he didn't actually debut.
But he debuted in WWE
true.
in 1998.
True.
So this was not his first time involved with a pro wrestling
That's
company.
true. He was involved with an ECW show, High Incident, in October of '96, which happened to be the exact same night that my favorite wrestler, Raven, crucified the Sandman and was forced to apologize.
And this was the exact reason why Kurt Angle would leave the building and no longer want to be involved in wrestling at the time. He would also go on to threaten to sue Paul Heyman if his image was ever shown during this event.
Yep. Now, sorry, not Paul Heyman. When Kurt Angle came to the WWF, he was instantly signed to an 8-year contract. That was a big
It was
thing.
something that they did back then.
Yeah.
They did with Mark
They did
Henry,
extensive contracts back then because they really wanted to lock a guy in so that there was no place else they could go.
Yeah.
Because a lot of WWE talent and WCW talent were getting traded
They actually
back and
had
forth.
faith in their guys back
They
then.
really did.
Which I feel like they have lost a lot of that.
So he went down to
nowadays.
Memphis, Tennessee, and started his training, and he became the first person in WWF history to ever be a pro wrestler and still be an Olympic gold medalist.
Now his first appearance, well, I wasn't sure if you were going to keep going.
No, you're good.
His first appearance was on March 7th of 1999 on an episode of Heat, but he didn't make his main stage debut until November of '99 at Survivor Series against Shawn Stasiak.
Funny side note, do you know who Shawn Stasiak's father was? He was Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff.
Interesting. Paul Orndorff. All right, very cool.
Now, he utilized an American hero type gimmick. You know, he was Kurt Angle. He was the American man.
Kind of similar to what Jack Swagger does now.
Yep. Actually, Jack Swagger is a very good reflection of what Kurt Angle used to be.
Absolutely.
He actually still is.
Yeah.
I think Kurt Angle is still one of my favorite all-time pro wrestlers.
I honestly would like to see the two of them in a match together. I'd love to see who's the better.
I would agree. As a matter of fact, it's really funny that they recycled the Patriots name just to give it to Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
Now, in February 2000, he won both the European and the Intercontinental Championships, like we stated earlier, and he started calling himself the Eurocontinental Champion, which I thought was actually a really funny name.
It is. It's very interesting.
And then in mid-2000, he started tag teaming with Edge and Christian, which led to more of that comic humor we were talking about.
Absolutely.
He feuded with Triple H, and there was this really weird love triangle, which ended up being a whole bunch of backstage segments with Triple H and Stephanie, Angle, Edge and Christian. It was a clusterfuck, but it was a great storyline.
Yeah,
However,
very interesting.
WWE didn't have faith, or WWF didn't have faith on it, and pulled the plug prematurely. I would love to. We were talking about this before we started filming. We'd love to have seen what would have happened had the coin flipped and she had decided with Angle over Triple H.
Absolutely. Which is what they were going to do, but for some reason changed their mind. I think that they just... I feel like it's because Triple H had too much power because he was with Stephanie.
Yeah.
And didn't want it to happen. I mean, that's personal. I mean, I don't know. But that's probably because I feel like there is a lot of backstage politics when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah, well, in Judgment Day, up until around this time, he started feuding with Chris Benoit. And he faced him at WrestleMania 17, and this would continue up through Judgment Day of 2001. They had a great program with one another. You got two technical wrestlers who would go head-to-head. They were giving you matches in high spots, and it was great. That was great programming back then. I mean, you know. And then later on, he'd go on to join the WWF and the Alliance, and then, you know.
And then he'd go back to the WWF, and he just couldn't make up his mind. It was, I won't be the WWF. I'll join the Alliance. I'll join the WWF again. Make up your mind, Kurt.
However, an interesting storyline out of that, he did claim sole responsibility of destroying the Alliance, when I really just say half the, you know, WWF pushing down WCW guys did that.
Yeah, well, it happens. But
No.
that was kind of his way of pushing himself more heel. Was say, you know what? I'm the one who took down the Alliance, not you guys. It was all me. And I think that really helped push him heel better.
I think so. One other thing that we thought was pretty interesting to mention is that during the end of the Attitude Era is when fans started chanting "You suck" during Kurt Angle's theme.
Now, when I tried to find out an exact time frame for this, most people on the internet said, "Oh, Edge started that. Edge started it. Blah blah blah." But I remember Kurt Angle and The Rock. They're having their feud. He was out there rolling a video of him beating down The Rock, and it had Kurt Angle's theme in the background. He just kept showing over and over and over again, just because he wanted to. And eventually, the fans would start chanting "You suck" during the theme. You suck. You suck. And they did that for the night. And a little bit after. But it didn't really catch on until during his feud with Edge. But another little side note for that, Edge didn't actually start. They started chanting it
on their own. Edge just helped fuel it.
And then Edge just helped fuel it. So it wasn't Edge. For all you people who think it was Edge, it wasn't Edge. It was the fans. We, the people, had that happen. And it happened way before Edge. It happened during his feud with The Rock.
A really funny thing is this walked all the way through Kurt Angle's career for the most part. Even when ECW was revived under WWE, and they gave him a spot on ECW, and he remixed his theme
a little bit.
He'd still come out and fans would change it. Therefore, when he went to TNA, he could have easily done what most guys did and just remixed up their themes and done something new with it. He didn't. Kurt Angle was the first guy to jump ship and completely change his theme.
Mm-hmm. He needed to get rid of that stigma, and changing the theme helped. And if they had just done that during his WWE career, maybe he would have stuck around. I don't know. I feel like he just got sick and tired of it.
Well, that ties up today's episode of The Attitude Era. Hope we didn't bore you guys too much.
We only have one more left, so I hope that you can stay strong and stick with us
and then after this, we plan on shaking it up a little bit. So stick tuned with us. We know it's getting a little drawn out. We know you guys, you want to see something. So we're going to give you something.
We're going to give it. We're going to give it to you hard. He's going to give it to you.
Adam Badger. Adam Badger!
I wonder if Adam Badger watches our show.
Adam Badger, if you watch our show, let me know. Tell me what you think of your match with Primal Warpath recently.
That's true.
Was it like paint drying? I bet it was like paint drying.
Adam Badger, if you want, hit us up on Facebook. Here's the link here. You can check it out. Post some comments. I like to throw some pictures up there.
We also have a Twitter account right here.
Yeah, just check it out. I'll post the video on these videos on there, so you guys can get the links to it and everything.
Also where we put the videos on YouTube.
Obviously.
Right here.
Yes, and please subscribe to that YouTube channel. Like our videos, watch our videos, share our videos, tell your friends to watch our videos.
Don't forget, reading is power.
And power is reading.
No, I was mimicking LeVar Burton.
You know what,
Butterfly
man?
in the sky.
Jordy LaForge. I don't think he ever did that.
Wow. Live long and prosper.
Right? This has been Off the Ropes with John and Josh. Again, I am Josh.
I don't know who the hell I am.
Sometimes he's John, sometimes he's not. But as far as we are right now, we are down for the count. 1, 2, 3. Done.
Let's get it on!